talked about the defense. We're going to get into the offense a little bit here. And speaking of James Cook, even though weren't really talking about him too much, James Cook has been phenomenal to start the season, and the Bills have really been leaning on that run game. Where you said Josh Allen hasn't really had to do too much. So, really easy question this week: do you think the Bills continue to lean on the run game? Do you think they should continue to lean on the run game? I'm just going to say my answer real quick. I do think they should continue to at least utilize it and keep it similar to that 20, 30 times a game when it comes to overall rushing. But I would like to see at least early on the passing game used, especially in the early downs. The Bills, I think, are right in that middle of the pack when it comes to early down passing. But I saw a stat today that there were 91% under center predictability run rate. They're so predictable in the run game. It's been working, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But I think as the season goes on, they have to kind of become more unpredictable, especially when they do run the ball. So I would like to see them, especially under center, not run the ball as much and utilize that passing game a little bit more, just to throw the defense off a little bit, maybe to utilize play action a little bit more. So what do you guys think? We'll start with you, Lance. Do you think they should continue to lean on this run game? Or do you think they should say, hey, we have Josh Allen, we're paying him all this money, let's maybe utilize him a little bit more? What do you think?
If the run game's effective and you're, able to move the ball and extend drives and hang on to the ball, then there's no reason to go away from it. But at the same time, the predictability thing, I completely agree with. They've only ran play action 15.9% of the time, sixth lowest percentage in the league. And that's just weird. Josh Allen is way better when he's using play action than not. And, I don't understand such a low usage, other than they haven't thrown a lot of balls and they've been handing the ball off quite a bit. So, I still think that play action percentage needs to go up. I still think that second down handoff needs to go away more often. It's just always you get the first down run. Okay, I get it. You got the see what starts on the drive, see what you can get, and then immediately, on second down, you have another handoff, and it's like, all right, let's see something different. And for me, I would like them to not necessarily go away from the run game, but to be very much less predictable using it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to run the ball. That seems to be a staple of Joe Brady's offense, controlling the line of scrimmage, dominating on the run game. Like you mentioned, going play action 15% of the time. When the Bills are under center, they're running the ball 91% of the time. So if the Bills are under center, they're telling the defense it's a run, essentially. And the O-line's been so good that it hasn't really been a problem. So is this the week that we start going a lot of play action? Because, they're going to put stuff on film and then you're going to do something different. So I could see them going like establish the run early, go a lot of play action. And the Jaguars have a really good pass rush. They have the artist formerly known as Josh Allen, now Josh Allen Hines. They have Trayvon Walker, former number one pick. And the best way to neutralize a good pass rush is to run the ball, because they're a step slower off the line. They have to see if it's a run. And if they're going to, rush up field, you just run right underneath and replace that gap, pull a guard, pull a tackle, and they can basically kick him right out of the play. So, yeah, I look for the Bills to establish the run game as a way to open up the pass game. And I would love to see some more play action, like you mentioned. I think that's the best way with this receiver group to get stuff down the field. Like the one shot that they've really taken was to MVS in the Cardinals game and they missed it. So I could see, running the ball, establishing the run, MVS comes in, they hit a post downfield, something like that. So, yeah, definitely think you're going to run the ball. And like you said, Lance, like play action off of that for sure.
Yeah, I do also want to just bring up some kind of interesting numbers here. So since Joe Brady took over as offense coordinator in Week 11, the Bills have had 6+ offensive linemen at 16% of their plays, the highest rate in the NFL. And through the first 2 weeks, they've run the ball on 94% of their plays on jumbo personnel, 5.7 yards per carry. So it is working. That's the highest success rate since number 25 was in the backfield for the Bills, Shady McCoy. So they've really been phenomenal at it, but I think that kind of alludes to the predictability. People see 6 linemen and they know what's coming, but guess what? They can't stop it right now. So I do think we might see a little bit more play action, especially out of maybe that jumbo package, maybe a shot downfield this game, maybe a Keon Coleman MVS. You do get that jumbo personnel out there and you run play action there and let Josh just sling it. So we'll see what happens when it comes to how predictable they are this game with the run, and how many times they do deploy that 6 offensive linemen out there, because that has been a staple of the Joe Brady offense that we've seen early on in the Joe Brady offense, is getting that 6th offensive lineman out there. So we'll see. We'll see how the run game goes. Run game, it's been good. So really can't complain too much about them leaning on it, at least. But on to the next one. Scott, I know you were talking about this before the show a little bit. Jaguars play a lot of man coverage. And, you were thinking it might be around 60%. I think 60% was their week 1, and now they're around that 52%, but still a lot. That's number 1 in the league. Highest rate in the past 3 years, since the Dolphins in 2022 ran a 55% rate. So they like to play man coverage. Do you think that this can be something that the Bills expose? Do you think it's a benefit to them? And do you think this should make them emphasize the quick hitters to the running backs, to the tight ends, to maybe even Curtis Samuel? So what do you think, Scott? Start with you, Scott. What do you think about the Jags playing man, and how the Bills should really kind of take advantage of that?
Yeah, with the personnel group that the Bills have, you want teams to play man. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe the Jaguars play a little bit less, because with tight ends like the Bills have, specifically with their skill sets, Kincaid, he's a tight end, but can essentially play slot receiver too. Who do you put on him? Do you put a safety on him? Then he's, maybe too big. Do you put a linebacker on him? He's too slow. You put a corner, he's too small. So and their corners, I think their tallest corner is 6 feet tall. Another guy we forgot, Bill's great coming back, Ron Darby. We know he's not the biggest, so maybe match up Keon Coleman with him outside, just be a big body. But yeah, I think big game for the tight ends. They can take advantage of it. Big game for guys like Shakir, Curtis Samuel, who can run those quick routes, just kind of maybe not even necessarily run a designated route, but just an option route. Just whatever they give you, get open, get it out quick. And then the running backs, the touchdown to James Cook last week, where he lined up in the backfield. The Bills knew it was man. He acted like he was going to block, and then he leaked out. And then his man is coming from the other side of the field. He has to run through all of the wash to try to get to him. They tried to run the same thing in the first game to Kincaid, but they were in zone, so it didn't work. So, yeah, I think big game for quick screens, too, because if you can get a hat on a hat blocking, if they're in man, then all you really have to do is make one guy miss and you're gone. So I think it matches up great for our tight ends, great for our shifty receivers, and then James Cook, Ray Davis out of the backfield too. And then, screens to the running back are going to work pretty well. And if they're in man, running the ball works pretty well. So yeah, I would be surprised if the Jags play as much man, just given the Bills personnel group, but I really hope that they do.
Yeah, it would be nice to see if Curtis Samuel's healthy and if that toe is really good, to see him, go off on some of those things where he can get a lot of yak and get that ball in his hands quick, even hand off the ball maybe on a jet sweep, things like that. So really excited to see the potential for a sort of Curtis Samuel as an RB type quick hitter option. But the tight end position has to definitely be there this week. I think the matchup is there for the Bills to have it. And if James Cook's not running all over them, then I think, you have to throw the ball here and there and take advantage of your strength, which will be Kincaid and Knox here for sure. The running backs, I've loved what I've seen from all three really so far this year. And James Cook's just been dynamic in every sense of the game. So getting him involved is going to be a must. And I think he'll have another big game in week 3.
Yeah. I mean, I think this should be a thing that the Jaguars should switch it up this week a little bit. They should not play as much man as they have been. If they will, I think Josh Allen can pick them absolutely apart and really just put up big numbers this week in the passing game. So I do think that this will be a game that you might even see a guy like Ty Johnson in the game a little bit more because of his receiving ability out of the backfield. I know James Cook is a guy that we look at, and he should be the number one guy out of the backfield. Ray Davis, haven't seen him really targeted at all, I think, in the passing game. Seen him in the run game a little bit, but I think you could see Ty Johnson this week a little bit more on the field just because of his ability out of the backfield. So I do think they'll lean a little bit more on that quick game even more, even though the Jaguars have been pretty good against the quick game defensively this season because of I think the man coverage just allows them to be better against that. But I think you could see a big shot downfield this game. You could see Josh try to go. I mean, you saw it week 1 against the Cardinals where he just missed Marquez Valdes-Scantling downfield. You could maybe see that again. A little bit of play action there, get the Jaguars playing up and then beat them over top. So I do think that they'll have to really take advantage of this man coverage that the Jags like to play. I'm a little shocked that the Jaguars are playing as much man coverage that they have this season because it really, I mean, it's been working pretty well for them, but it's not going to work through the season. You haven't really seen it work too well for teams as the season goes on, especially against top tier teams, right? So we'll see how it goes. I think Josh Allen could end up also having a big game on the ground because I think this could, with the run game, or with the man coverage, could really open up the rushing lanes for Josh Allen to just take off and have some big gains there. So I do think that they should emphasize the quick hitters getting the ball out. I think Curtis Samuel, he's been quiet, although when he has run routes, he's been targeted, I believe, on about 20% of his routes run. The thing is, he just hasn't run too many routes. So I think you could see if Curtis Samuel is, like Scott said, if his toe's feeling good and he's feeling healthy, he could be a guy that comes up big this game. So we'll see.